Hello, welcome to another episode of Dorkside Cookies, BiteSize Reviews. We're going to review Roll for the Galaxy along with the Ambition expansion. The Ambition expansion isn't substantially different from the main game. Basically, it mostly gives you more, but where it does add, I'll talk about it, and I'll also give you a little bit of our feedback on what we kind of like and don't like about the expansion. So in Roll for the Galaxy, you take on the role of a spacefaring civilization that reminds me a lot of like 1950s Isaac Asimov, right? This is like very futuristic. There's lots of different apparent species and worlds, and there's hints towards a bigger universe than what any words there are would actually tell you. This game is a reimagining of the card-based version. I guess originally it was just the only version of Race for the Galaxy, but they've reimagined it with dice instead of cards. And if you're like our group, like once we started playing like a different dice reimagining, which was Pandemic the Cure, right? We liked Pandemic, we never played it. We loved Pandemic the Cure, so we played it all the time. Similar thing here. Once we started playing Roll for the Galaxy, we've only a few times pulled Race for the Galaxy out of the box because it's a very smooth game. Now, even if you haven't played Race for the Galaxy, I think most people wouldn't know any better. It's a good game on its own. There's definitely no need to even know about the other game. But if you do, then you're going to identify a lot of the same symbols and a lot of the similar artwork and a lot of similar kind of concepts that have been done very cleverly, in my opinion, maybe even better using dice. Now, as a fledgling civilization, you start out with a couple different advantages that make you unique and different as opposed to the other species in the galaxy. So, for example, in this case, I have a mining industry which is controlled by rebel convict miners. Now, this is randomly dealt out, so every time you're going to have a different combination of these two tiles. And it's going to tell a little bit of a story about how you started to be an alien civilization or an alien empire even, right? On the other hand, this player has received a biological adaptation. It shows pictures of aquatic sea life, and it has an aquatic uplift world, which seems to be like something has taken your species and made you Demon Calamari or something, right? You're now a sentient, somehow spacefaring race. But you can kind of tell a little bit of a story. You start out the game this way. You're unique and different from everybody else. You could ignore your advantages and just pursue your own strategy, or you can really leverage what the galaxy has given you in the beginning. So the beginning of the game establishes what strategy you want to do. The middle of the game, typically you're going to be looking a little bit more closely at your allies. And what's pretty interesting about this game is the way that you end the game is either the players have acquired all of the victory points in the pool, and this pool gets bigger as there's more players. So the pace of the game stays about the same whether you're playing with 2 players or 4 players. But if this pool is ever empty, the game is over. Alternatively, if you ever build a total of 12 items in your tableau, then the game is over. Ultimately, what I think is interesting is it's named Roll for the Galaxy, right? And all they've done is replace the word race with the word roll. And that's clever. I like it. But it's still very much a race. You're not directly attacking the other players. You're not doing any kind of PvP thing that might make some people shy away from this game. This game is competitive, but not head to head. So it says roll for the galaxy, but it's still very much a race. You just have to run faster than everybody else. So you have to pace yourself and really just try to play for the long game. And that's part of the strategy. That's what I really enjoy. I like that the game could be really, really long. People could kind of turtle. They could kind of spend more time exploring different tiles and trying to find the perfect number of tiles. But then once somebody gets it, once somebody just like figures out how they're going to win, they just start racing. And typically everybody else has to start scrambling to keep up and generate whatever little points they can, because they know that they can't have a 6-turn strategy. That's just not going to happen. I don't know. I think it's cool. And I also I just like games where you interact, where you have to pay attention. If you're not paying attention, they can pay attention to you, and pretty soon, every time you take an action, they're getting free actions because they're just mirroring your moves, but also getting their own actions. So you need to be aware of the other players, but you don't have to worry about them like punishing you or really harming you. It's in your best interest. And I really like that. So in my opinion, most people like playing with the dice. They're colorful, they're cool, they're not numbers. They excite the imagination in a way that few game components really do, just in my opinion. The names of the tiles, the mining industry that has a meteorite planet, the rebel convict miners, the fifth column, the biological adaptation, all of these things are just very simple things with kind of almost random sci-fi art. And it hints at this larger universe. And to me, it kind of reminds me of like the way Star Wars drops little tidbits and they don't really explain it in the first movie. You look at these pictures and you just kind of can imagine what's going on in this universe. And I like things like that. You're going to hear me say those kind of words over and over again. Anything that is visceral, is visually or tactilely pleasing, I'm going to like. And yet, I also really, really want there to be holes and gaps. I want there to be voids that my imagination can fill. And this does it all for me. The cards are really nice. I feel like they're very high quality. These tiles, they did not have to be this heavy, but they feel weighty, and I just like them. I think you get a lot of value for your money. The downside, I would say, about Roll for the Galaxy in the beginning, once you have played with 4 friends about 3 times, you're going to start seeing the same combinations. And very quickly, I would start saying, you know what, I don't want to play this combination with this combination again. And I would start putting them back and getting new ones. Well, the Ambition expansion dramatically increased the number of factions that you can start as. It dramatically, well, no, it didn't dramatically, but it increased the homeworlds by at least 50%. It introduced some new things like the leader dice. So the leader dice, they get to do your choice of either of 2 phases. So normally you roll these dice and whatever it shows, like it shows an eyeball, so it's doing an explore phase this turn. If it doesn't have a double phase, it's a free phase. So by exploring, the leader die, the black die, goes back into the cup. You don't have to buy it again. So I really like that. Everybody gets a black die. They also give entrepreneur dice, which are really good at trading. And certain planets and homeworlds and factions give you these orange dice. They're very similar to the leader dice. They're just good at trading instead of at anything. I mean, leader dice are the best, in my opinion. The objectives change the game, and I do not recommend putting them into the game until you feel really strong at the general strategy of the game. Otherwise, certain players are going to have a huge advantage, and it doesn't feel right because they get bonus points and you don't, because or somebody doesn't, because they're just not as strong at the game. So that's my opinion on these. But I did not buy Ambition for those. I bought Ambition because I felt like there needed to be more options for the starting setup. What the complaint has been about Ambition is that it feels like it makes the game too fast. And it does make it faster because simply by giving you control, like free dice, right? You roll the Explorer and it goes back in your cup after you've purchased something. Now you have one extra die than you would have had before the Ambition expansion on your next turn. So for that player who rolled it, they now have more dice. They probably are going to do more things the following turn, and it kind of just cascades down until they've just done more and more and more the entire game. Now, instead of taking 10 turns, maybe it takes them 7 turns to end the game. Whether they win or not, they were faster at ending the game. So it's true. Ambition makes the game faster. I think it's not a problem for most people that the game is faster. However, again, if it's taking you longer to get the strategy of the game, right? If one person really has it all figured out and another player just hasn't yet, the person who has figured it out wants the game to be faster. They want more control over the randomness. They want to be able to go through the bag and just pull out the tiles they need to really push their strategy and win the game. The person who hasn't figured it out, they're just playing the game and they don't know, and then suddenly the game's over because there's 12 tiles in their tableau. That person feels like the game was too fast. Like if they just had a few more turns, they would have been able to figure it out and they could have won, or at least they could have caught up. That's probably my biggest advice is you should play with the base game a few times. If your group is like mine, we love more. Basically, anything we love, if you say for $25 we can have more of it, we're gonna do it. Don't do that to this game. Play enough of the first game so that everyone is like a similar win streak, and then add the other one, because nothing in Ambition fixes anything with the first game. The first game was great. It was just great by itself. Ambition is just more. And that more allows you to have a little bit more control, and that more allows you to take control of the probability, right? The first game is a higher luck game. Ambition makes it less luck. I think it's better for the game. It's healthier for the long-term play, and it's made it so that we could really probably play this game. Well, we could just continue playing it for the next year or so, next 2 years until the next expansion. It's a great, great game. I highly recommend this game. One of my favorite all-time games. I think, like, I just want everyone to experience it because it's so good. It's so good. I just love this game. And I want everyone to at least play it a couple times to see how well it's made and how well the rules just work. Yeah. So with that, I hope everyone has played or will play this game. And if you'd be so kind as to click like, click subscribe, comment below if there's some game that you think I should play. Like, what is your game that makes you so excited that people come from out of town and you're like, hey, I know this game. I know that you only have 4 hours until you go onto a plane back home. Let's play this game. Let's do it. What's that game? Comment below. All right. Until next time, roll on.